Elizabeth Afton is an interesting character to say the least. As Circus Baby, she has unwavering loyalty to William Afton, and even thinks that he brought them all to FNAF 6 to receive some gift. She even celebrates that now they can be complete, ending with the lines,
"Watch, listen, and be full."
Which is a weird thing to say, and I've always chalked it up to just an odd writing choice. But I think this line is indicative of Circus Baby's plan all along, even as far back as FNAF 4. Slices, put on your aprons and let's bake ourselves a theory. I readily admit that I'm making a very bold claim here, and I'm basically saying that in everything Circus Baby did, she was planning for a specific outcome. But if that's the case, what is everything Circus Baby did? Well, obviously, she only started being prominent in her first game, Sister Location, where we hear who is later to be revealed as Elizabeth Afton, asking William Afton, her father, to play with the newly made Circus Baby, claiming that he made it just for her. But William Afton won't let Elizabeth play with Circus Baby, but eventually, she sneaks by anyway, and we learn through the dialogue in the game and in this cutscene from the secret minigame, yeah, once she does that, Circus Baby scoops her up and kills her in the process. But judging from the change in eye color of Circus Baby to match Elizabeth's, it seems like this was the event that leads Elizabeth to possess Circus Baby. And in Sister Location, she seems to be the most successfully possessed character ever, capable of fully conscious conversation. By the end of the game, we see Elizabeth trick Michael Afton into the scooping room to hollow out his insides so she, as Ennard, a conglomeration of all the Funtime animatronics, can put on his skin like a tuxedo and leave pretending to be human. But if you've played and beaten the secret minigame, you also unlock the private office door in that same sequence, which instead sees Michael defending himself against Ennard using the office doors until he can eventually escape. During this sequence, Ennard even uses Elizabeth Afton's original child voice to try to manipulate Michael, in what I think is some of the best psychological horror this series has ever seen. But even in that ending, Ennard eventually catches up to Michael Afton. So now Ennard is free in the grander world, roaming around in Michael Afton's body. But eventually that body starts to rot, and they have to escape into the sewers else be detected by the public. It's during this time that Ennard has a sort of internal conflict between Elizabeth Afton and the other souls that were inside of the Funtime animatronics. We saw this in a conversation in the source code between FNAFworld.com and ScottGames.com over the series of several months. It boiled down to these. This seems like the rest of the Funtime animatronics ejected Circus Baby from Ennard, and these two separated creatures formed Scrap Baby and Molten Freddy. But then by FNAF 6, they are all lured towards the pizzeria simulator. Once there, they're melted down and burnt away so their spirits can rest. But just before that happens and Henry elaborates his entire plan, Circus Baby says this.
"Now we can do what we were created to do, and be complete. I will make you proud, Daddy. Watch, listen, and be full."
Which, as I mentioned, is a strange line and doesn't 100% make sense. Sure, she believes this was all actually William Afton's doing, but then what does be complete and watch, listen, and be full mean? This is kind of where speculation surrounding Circus Baby is left. It's a pretty understandable story, and Circus Baby as Elizabeth Afton is loyal to William Afton, with a weird writing choice at the end of FNAF 6. But that was until last Friday. I guess this floor is just performing to nobody. Well, I'm not gonna find the exit just waiting here, so let's go. Okay, guess I'm stuck here. Oh, what's this? A sponsorship. Today's video is brought to you by Bingo Showdown. Bingo Showdown brings you the excitement of live bingo and the competitive edge of tournament-style play. And did I mention, this game is free to play. It even allows you to compete with hundreds of thousands of real players. Join bingo tournaments 24/7, the bingo hall is always open. This free-to-play casual, fun, and energetic game brings high-speed, competitive bingo to everyone. One of my favorite features is that you can play with up to 4 sheets at once in a tournament, which makes it way more fast-paced and engaging. But of course, you can also pick 1 or 2 sheets if you'd want a more relaxing experience. All of it is tied together too with a quirky Western theme and atmosphere to make it stand out. So let's see if you're good enough to beat 99% of participants and qualify for Diamond Tier. Click the link in the description to enjoy my favorite bingo game. Thanks again to Bingo Showdown for sponsoring today's video. Alright, so what do I do here? There's still nobody in the audience, but that bar in the back filled up a bit more. Hopefully that's a good thing. Last week, I had a stream on this channel and twitch.tv/RightHostYT, the Twitch channel that I stream 4 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday at 9 p.m. EST every single week. But last Friday's stream was myself as the lore professor grading chat's theories. People would just submit theories into the chat, and I'd discuss them for a bit and give them a final grade. It was a lighthearted community event. And eventually, Seeker of Comfiness posted this. Elizabeth is the one who says, "I will put you back together." If Molten MCI and Shatter Victim are true, then Baby's Ennard plan literally puts him back together. The mangle in her room was a hint too. And when I first saw that, I was convinced that it's a very solid possibility. I didn't really think too much more into it, but I said that it was a good idea. Especially since Circus Baby is down in the bunker where the other end of that walkie-talkie Fredbear plush is. She had access to talk to the crying child, if she was down there by that time. But we just kind of moved on until a while later, What the 911 posted this. Baby was just memeing when she said, "You won't die," which was funny, but really had me start to think. Several times in this franchise, Circus Baby seems to imply she knows something is going on, or at least what she thinks is going on. She tells Michael he won't die, and miraculously, he doesn't die. She's leading the fun times around as Ennard for some specific goal, and when she gets to FNAF 6, she's convinced that it was all a part of a plan. If Elizabeth Afton as Circus Baby was stuck in the bunker while William Afton was doing his remnant experiments, maybe she was watching them, learning from them, and if he allowed, actively participating in them. After all, in the Silver Eyes trilogy, Circus Baby is basically the lab assistant to William Afton. And we knew that she's on William Afton's side, but what if it goes much further than that? And that's when everything started to line up and evidence kept popping up. I started telling my friends how cool this idea was, and they brought even more evidence to the table. John FNAF mentioned that in Help Wanted 2, in the private office levels of Sister Location, the final interview one is all about Circus Baby. Corey and Connie dual process theory brought up the fact that in FNAF 4, in Elizabeth's bedroom, is that mangle animatronic. Like the original comment from Seeker of Comfiness mentioned, not only does that talk about the fact that mangle is an allusion to putting things back together, but this implies that Elizabeth liked robotics. All of this and more evidence started lining up. So I'm not going to beat around the bush any longer. Without any further ado, here is the true story of Elizabeth Afton from her perspective. And that's a big asterisk on from her perspective, because I don't want to imply William actually gave a shit about his kids with some of the things I'm about to say. This is what Elizabeth saw William Afton's actions as. And yes, in this scenario, she would have to die before the crying child. I'll get to that. Elizabeth was the favorite child of the Afton family, due in large part to her interest in robotics, just like her father. She was so raptured by her father's animatronics that he even made her a life-size mangle animatronic, so she could take it apart and put it back together to her heart's content, learning all about its mechanisms and what made it work. And when he began working on the Funtime animatronics, and she heard that Circus Baby was made specifically for her, she couldn't wait to play with it, but her father wouldn't let her, convinced that it was too dangerous. But she snuck in anyway, and when she was alone with Circus Baby, she paid the price for it. Circus Baby's secondary programming took over, scooping up Elizabeth and killing her in the process. But in that moment, Elizabeth Afton's spirit went on to possess Circus Baby, and quite a whole possession it was, maintaining most of her personality and intelligence. And in the possession of Circus Baby, she watched her father bring her to the Sister Location bunker, watching him work tirelessly for some goal. All the while, her father studied her little brother endlessly, and she became curious, seeing the monitors and walkie-talkie setup that William had. Eventually, she tried to speak through that walkie-talkie and heard her little brother, the crying child, on the other end. Now she had a companion, someone to talk to and keep safe. She wanted to make sure that her brother would be okay and spoke to him through the Fredbear plushie. I know that's a big claim, but here's a quick aside for some additional evidence. As was mentioned, that private office level in Help Wanted 2 is all about Circus Baby, but even more than that. Take a look at the dialogue that both Circus Baby and the Fredbear plushie says. It's so similar, something I hadn't clocked until now. Listen to Circus Baby.
You must follow my instructions in Funtime Auditorium. Ballora is going to follow you. She will try to catch you. I will help you avoid her. She will not follow you inside the scooping room. She is afraid. Go back now.
Now let me show you some of Fredbear's dialogue with the best impression that I can muster, aka not a very good one, but my best impression of Circus Baby.
What did he do this time? He locked you in your room again. Don't be scared. I am here with you.
These lines are written so similarly, as if they're being spoken by the same character. But if you still need more evidence for this, how do we get into the private office of Sister Location? It's a place that's typically inaccessible unless you do one very specific thing, and that is play Circus Baby's minigame. And once you get in the office, Elizabeth, as Ennard, knows every other way to sneak into that room. She was down there, she would have access to this office, and you only get access to the office through her. They continued like this for some time, but eventually her little brother was killed in an accident involving the Fredbear animatronic. She was devastated, but watching her father's work and knowing what she herself is, she knows that this is not the end for her brother. She knows he can be brought back. And to help comfort him in his final moments alive, she promises that he will be put back together. But time passes, and he's never brought into the bunker like she was. She needs to go up and get him. Eventually, on William Afton's orders, Michael Afton is sent down into the bunker, and to Elizabeth, this is a gift. This is a way out given to her by her father, a gift that any method is justified to use, including murder. After all, she knows that even if she kills Michael in the process of escaping, he can always be brought back. He can always be put back together. She herself tells him,
You won't die.
So she lures him into the scooping room and empties him out so herself and all the other Funtimes can leave the bunker in pursuit of William Afton. It's perfect. She's gathered all the souls together, and all she needs to do is find her father. But over time, the body they're using rots, and they have to escape to the sewers. Even further, the others stop listening to Elizabeth. She knows how to save them, and they're refusing to be saved, booting her out of their own collective, abandoning her. So she goes and repairs herself, something she would know how to do with all of her robotics experience. And eventually, she hears the call of the pizzeria simulator. Her father is smart enough to know what would draw everyone together. This has to be her father's doing. So she runs to that beacon, and once everyone is gathered there, she triumphantly states her victory.
You played right into our hands. Did you really think that this job just fell out of the sky for you? No. This was a gift for us.
She believes that all of this was done by William Afton.
You gathered them all together in one place, just like he asked you to. All of those little souls in one place, just for us. A gift.
She herself tried to gather all the souls, but she failed. But luckily, her father was able to get that gift for her.
Now we can do what we were created to do, and be complete. I will make you proud, Daddy. Watch, listen, and be full.
And finally, William Afton has promised he can bring people back from the dead. And finally, he has all the pieces to do it. He can put everyone back together. He can make them complete and full again. Nothing can get in his way this time, and William can save everyone. But of course, her faith is misplaced, and she dies finding that out. Now, I mentioned I do have one major problem with this theory. As solid and as evidence-backed as everything is, it would necessitate that William Afton dies before the crying child, which would mean that the Funtime animatronics would have been made before the crying child dies, likely before the missing child incident. So before any of these events have happened, William Afton would have, for some reason, made a series of animatronics that are perfectly built to kidnap kidnapped children. And I have no explanation for why he would do that. I think it's very stinky to put that there with the evidence we have in front of us. But hey, who knows? There's no evidence saying that he couldn't have built the Fun Times first, and we are about to get Secret of the Mimic, which maybe will lead into some kind of Fun Time thing going forward. Because if we do get any evidence to say that William Afton built the Fun Times before any other animatronics, then this would have been one of the strongest theories I've ever made. And it was a group effort. But let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Are you as shocked as I was hearing all of this? Because this blew my mind going into it. And in the meantime, don't forget that I take my live streams and I edit them down into watchable YouTube videos on Right Toost. You can find me playing Chapter 1 of Bushside Rangers, a brand new mascot horror game, right here. If you want your fan art featured on the channel, make sure to share with hashtag ToastArt. A huge thank you to the best channel members, the Dough Risers, and until next time, as always, stay toasty, slices.